The alien scientists watched in astonishment as Maya demonstrated. A simple internal combustion engine, when viewed through her enhanced perception, revealed principles of energy manipulation that their civilizations hadn't yet discovered. A basic computer circuit contained, encoded in its seemingly inefficient design, the seeds of quantum computing. But why? Asked Zax 427, the Arcturian archaeologist who had first discovered the quantum database. Why hide such advanced knowledge in such a complex way? Diana's expression grew serious. Because knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. Our ancestors didn't want us to simply inherit their power. They wanted us to understand it, to earn it, to develop the wisdom to use it responsibly. Maya nodded, still manipulating the holographic interface. Every piece of human technology, from the wheel to the rocket engine, wasn't just a tool, it was a lesson. We weren't developing technology, we were developing ourselves. As if to punctuate her words, new signals began broadcasting from the awakening structure near Earth's moon. The messages were clear now to those who knew how to listen. Humanity hadn't just been preserving knowledge. They had been standing guard, maintaining a watch that had lasted 500,000 years. Diana's voice was heavy with the weight of recovered memory as she translated the signal's meaning. The network is awakening because it has to. What our ancestors feared, what they prepared us for, is returning. Maya's hand stilled above the holographic controls. What are we guarding against? What could be so dangerous that our entire species chose to forget itself just to prepare for it? Diana looked out at the assembled representatives of a dozen alien species, her expression both grave and determined. That's what we need to find out. Because whatever it was, our ancestors thought that only humanity, with our unique combination of rediscovered knowledge and hard-won wisdom, would be able to face it. The signal from the moon continued its rhythmic pulse, a beacon calling humanity to remember, to awaken, to prepare. The true test was yet to come. The great deception. Deep within Earth's moon, in a chamber that had remained sealed for 500,000 years, Dr. Diana Martinez stood before a holographic projection that told the story of humanity's greatest sacrifice. Behind her, representatives from every major galactic civilization watched in stunned silence as history rewrote itself before their eyes. We weren't just the first. Diana's voice cracked with emotion as she translated the ancient records. We were the only ones to survive. The hologram showed a galaxy teeming with life and civilization, millions of years before humanity's supposed emergence. Advanced species that had mastered forces the current galaxy could barely comprehend. And then, darkness, a void that consumed everything in its path. They called themselves the Harmonious Unity. Diana continued, reading from the ancient records. They didn't destroy civilizations, they optimized them. Every species they encountered was forcibly integrated into their collective, their biological and technological uniqueness eliminated in favor of perfect, sterile efficiency. Maya Patel, who had proven instrumental in accessing the lunar archive, stepped forward. Our ancestors faced a choice. They could fight and likely lose, or implement the Great Deception. Admiral Vixthar finished, his crystalline form dimming in understanding. Your entire species chose to hide itself. But why regress? Why not just conceal your technology? The answer appeared in the hologram, the vast network of quantum sensors, hidden in the seemingly primitive technology of Earth. Because the Unity doesn't just scan for advanced technology, Diana explained. They analyze development patterns. Every spacefaring race follows similar technological progression. Except humanity, Zax 427 interrupted, their bioluminescence pulsing with sudden comprehension. Your primitive technology doesn't follow normal development patterns because it's not actually primitive. It's advanced technology disguised as crude engineering. The hologram shifted to show Earth's history, but now the assembled aliens could see it for what it really was. The Industrial Revolution hadn't been humanity discovering steam power. It had been humanity remembering it in a way that looked natural. Every major technological breakthrough had been carefully orchestrated to appear evolutionary rather than revealed. The Unity sensors swept through this galaxy 12 times in the last 500,000 years, Diana said. Each time, they found what appeared to be an unremarkable young species stumbling its way toward the stars. They never realized they were looking at the most elaborate camouflage in galactic history. Dr. Chen smiled, a strange mix of sadness and pride in her expression. Sometimes, she said, the only way to truly understand something is to discover it yourself. Our ancestors didn't just give us technology. They gave us the gift of evolution, of learning, of becoming who we are today. The quantum scanner in Zax's appendages beeped one final time, displaying a date that made their bioluminescence flicker in shock. According to the data, this facility had been constructed over 500,000 years ago. Humanity hadn't just been present at the dawn of galactic civilization. They had been there first, and now they were beginning to remember. The sleeping giants. 3 months after the discovery of the quantum database, the galaxy was still reeling from its implications. But for Admiral Vixthar of the Collective Defense Force, a new crisis was brewing. His flagship's sensors had detected something impossible. Energy signatures emanating from what everyone had assumed was a dead world in the Carina sector. Another reading, Admiral. His sensor officer reported, mandibles clicking nervously. It's the same pattern we found in the ancient database. The massive view screen showed a planet that had been classified as uninhabitable for millennia. Its surface was scarred by what appeared to be ancient impact craters, but now something was stirring beneath that ravaged surface. Take us closer, Vixthar ordered, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the bridge's emergency lights. And get me Dr. Chen. When the human archaeologist's hologram appeared, she was already smiling. You found one, didn't you? A sleeping site. The Admiral's compound eyes narrowed. You knew about this. We suspected. The database contained references to something called the Diaspora Protocol, a contingency plan our ancestors enacted before their great regression. They left colonies scattered across the galaxy, preserved in temporal stasis fields. As if responding to her words, the planet's surface began to shift. Massive sections of what they had thought were crater walls started to move, revealing themselves as ancient hangar doors. The scale was breathtaking. Each door was larger than the Admiral's flagship. By the first light, Vixthar whispered, "How many are down there?" According to these readings, his science officer paused, rechecking the data. Millions. And they're all alive. The next few hours were chaos as ships from every major species converged on the location. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, broadcast across all known communication channels. Humanity, previously seen as a minor player in galactic politics, suddenly found itself at the center of everything. Dr. Chen led the first expedition to the surface. The ancient facility's security systems recognized her DNA signature, just as the quantum database had. As the massive doors opened, they revealed rows upon rows of stasis chambers, each containing human colonists who had slept through the ages. The technology is incredible, Dr. Chen's assistant, Marcus Wong, observed as they examined the control systems. These stasis fields don't just preserve, they protect against temporal decay. These people haven't aged a single day in 500,000 years. The first awakening was broadcast across the galaxy. Sarah Chen stood beside the stasis pod as its occupant. A woman named Diana Martinez, according to the ancient records, opened her eyes for the first time in 500,000 years. Diana's first words shocked everyone. Has the danger passed? The question sparked immediate controversy among the assembled alien diplomats. What danger had been so severe that humanity had chosen to scatter its people across the stars and deliberately regress their civilization? But more immediate concerns soon took precedence. The awakened colonists possessed knowledge that made even the most advanced alien technology seem primitive. Diana casually corrected errors in faster-than-light drive calculations that had plagued engineers for generations. Another colonist, after being shown modern medical equipment, suggested improvements that doubled their effectiveness. "You have to understand," Diana explained to a gathering of alien scientists, "what you see as humanity's primitive technology isn't primitive at all. It's distilled, refined. We took advanced principles and reduced them to their simplest forms, hiding complexity in plain sight." The political ramifications were immediate and far-reaching. Some species proposed immediately revoking humanity's colonization rights, fearing what might happen as more ancient colonies awakened. Others sought alliances, offering resources and support in exchange for access to human knowledge. But the most significant development came when Diana accessed the facility's central computer. "There are others," she announced. "Hundreds of sleeping sites scattered across the galaxy. And they're all beginning to wake up." Admiral Vixthar watched from his flagship as more hangar doors opened across the planet's surface. Ancient ships, their designs unlike anything in modern databases, began powering up. Their energy signatures were barely detectable, not because they were weak, but because they operated on principles his sensors could barely comprehend. "Tell me truthfully," he asked Diana during a private meeting, "why did your people choose to sleep? To forget? You had mastered the galaxy. Why give it all up?" Diana's answer was both simple and profound. "Because mastery wasn't enough. We needed to remember what it meant to strive, to struggle, to grow. Perfection without understanding is meaningless." As more colonies awakened across the galaxy, humanity faced a unique challenge. They weren't just reclaiming their heritage. They were rebuilding their civilization with the wisdom gained from their time as a primitive species. And as Diana looked out over the awakening colony, she smiled. "We didn't just preserve our people," she said. "We preserved our capacity for wonder. And that, Admiral, is worth more than all the technology in the galaxy." The sleeping giants were awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. Memory of stars. The incident that changed everything happened at a small research station orbiting Mars. Maya Patel, a 19-year-old engineering intern, was attempting to repair a supposedly defunct piece of ancient Earth technology, a nuclear fission reactor from the 21st century. While modern fusion reactors were far more efficient, some colonies still maintained these older systems as backups. What happened next would reshape humanity's understanding of their own heritage. "This is wrong," Maya muttered, staring at the reactor schematics. Her fingers traced patterns in the air, following flows of energy that shouldn't have been visible. "The design. There's something hidden here." Dr. Diana Martinez, recently awakened from her half-million-year sleep, watched the young woman with growing excitement. "You can see it, can't you? The underlying pattern." Maya nodded absently, her eyes unfocused as if seeing through the physical structure to something beneath. "It's like music. The electrons aren't just flowing, they're dancing. There's a rhythm to it that feels." She paused, searching for words, familiar, like a song I've always known but never heard. Diana's voice was soft but intense. "That's because it's written in your DNA. We didn't just hide our knowledge in databases and sleeping colonies. We encoded it into ourselves." The news spread rapidly across human space, then to the wider galaxy. Young humans, particularly those who had grown up around primitive Earth technology, were displaying an innate understanding of principles that had baffled alien scientists for generations. At the Galactic Science Academy, Dr. Clara presented her findings to a stunned audience. "What we dismissed as junk DNA is actually an incredibly sophisticated data storage system. The humans didn't just preserve their knowledge. They became their own archive." The implications were staggering. Every human carried within them star maps of ancient colonies, technical specifications for technologies beyond current understanding, and most importantly, the ability to intuitively grasp principles that other species could only comprehend through years of study. But not everyone welcomed these revelations. They're too dangerous to be allowed to continue, argued Supreme Commander Zix of the Rigelian Empire during an emergency session of the Galactic Council. These humans aren't just reclaiming lost technology. They're living weapons, carrying within them knowledge that could destroy us all. The debate might have continued indefinitely, if not for what happened next. Across human space, ancient technologies began activating spontaneously. Dormant satellites, hidden beneath centuries of dust on 100 worlds, powered up. Strange structures, previously thought to be natural formations, revealed themselves as camouflaged monitoring stations. And in orbit around Earth's moon, something vast began to stir. It's responding to us, Maya explained to a joint human-alien scientific committee. Her hands moved through a holographic interface that only she and other humans could fully perceive. All this time, Earth's technology wasn't primitive. It was part of a vast network, waiting for us to remember how to see it. Diana stepped forward, her ancient knowledge complementing Maya's intuitive understanding. Our ancestors didn't just give us technology. They gave us a path to rediscover it. Each generation of primitive human technology was actually teaching us, preparing us, helping our minds develop in ways that would let us access our genetic memory. The ancient database. The quantum scanner pulsed rhythmically in Zax 427's spindly appendages as the young Arcturian archaeologist carefully swept it across the derelict space station's walls. After 3 solar cycles of examining this abandoned structure at the edge of the outer rim, most of their colleagues had already departed, convinced there was nothing of value to be found. But Zax knew better. Another dead end. The gravelly voice of their supervisor, senior researcher Valthic, echoed through the communications channel. Zax's bioluminescent patches flickered with determination. No, sir. There's something different about these energy signatures. They don't match any known patterns in our database. The scanner's soft blue light suddenly shifted to a brilliant purple, and a holographic interface materialized in the air before them. Symbols and equations cascaded through the projection, but what caught Zax's attention wasn't the data itself, but its age. Sir, Zax's voice trembled. These readings, they're dating back over 300,000 standard cycles. That's before the emergence of any known spacefaring civilization. Valthic's skepticism was palpable even through the comm channel. Impossible. The progenitors only achieved space travel 150,000 cycles ago. Your equipment must be malfunctioning. But Zax wasn't listening anymore. Their attention was fixed on a sequence of geometric patterns that seemed oddly familiar. With trembling appendages, they pulled up an image from their personal database, a photograph of ancient cave paintings discovered on a backwater world called Earth. The patterns matched perfectly. Sir, Zax whispered, I think we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. What we found here, it changes everything we thought we knew about humanity. Within hours, the abandoned station was swarming with researchers from a dozen different species. The quantum database they discovered was vast, but most of its contents were encrypted in ways that defied the most advanced decryption algorithms in the galaxy. However, one thing became increasingly clear. The technological signatures matched what most species had dismissed as primitive human engineering. Dr. Calera, the renowned Centaurian historian, arrived 3 days later. Her crystalline form sparkled with excitement as she examined the findings. Look at these base calculations. She gestured to a particularly complex sequence. We've seen this before. In the design of human internal combustion engines, we always assumed it was crude engineering. But her voice trailed off in wonder. But what? Zax pressed. But what if it wasn't primitive at all? What if it was deliberately simplified? These equations suggest their primitive technology is based on incredibly advanced principles, just reduced to their most basic form. The implications were staggering. Humanity, the species that most of the galaxy viewed as newcomers to the cosmic stage, might have been there before any of them. Their seemingly primitive technology wasn't crude. It was elegant in its simplicity, perhaps deliberately so. As news of the discovery spread, human representatives were invited to examine the facility. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading Shen archaeologist, arrived with a small team. What happened next would be recorded in every historical database across the galaxy. The moment Dr. Chen approached the quantum interface, it responded. The encrypted data began decoding itself, responding to her mere presence. The holographic displays shifted and changed, forming words in an ancient form of human writing. "Welcome home, children of Earth," the message read. "The time has come to remember." The assembled alien scientists watched in stunned silence as more data began streaming forth. Star charts older than their civilizations, technical specifications that made their most advanced theories look like children's drawings, and most incredibly, a message left by their own ancestors, explaining why they had chosen to step back from their advanced state. Dr. Chen's voice shook as she read the ancient words aloud. "To our descendants, we chose this path of forgetting so that you might learn to climb again. The stars have always been your birthright. Now it's time to reclaim them." Zax noticed something else in that moment, something that would haunt them for years to come. In all their archaeological work, they'd never seen technology quite like this. It wasn't just advanced. It was different. While every other species' technology followed similar developmental paths, human technology seemed to operate on fundamentally different principles. As the day drew to a close, Zax found themselves alone with Dr. Chen in the ancient control room. "Why?" they finally asked. "Why would an advanced civilization choose to forget everything?" But it was Maya who made the next crucial connection. The other sleeping colonies, they're not just preservation sites, are they? They're guard posts. Diana nodded, positioned along the Unity's predicted return trajectory. Our ancestors knew they would come back. Everything. The regression, the encoded DNA, the hidden technology. It was all preparation for their return. Admiral Vixtar's crystalline form pulsed with concern. How long? How long until these optimizers return? The answer came not from Diana or the hologram, but from the very walls of the lunar facility. Ancient systems, dormant for eons, suddenly hummed to life. Displays lit up across the chamber, showing sensor data from the far reaches of the galaxy. "They're already here," Maya whispered, her enhanced perception reading the data streams. "At the galaxy's edge. But this time," she smiled, "this time we're ready." The truth of humanity's great deception was finally clear. They hadn't regressed out of fear or weakness. They had hidden themselves in plain sight, becoming the galaxy's invisible guardians. While other species saw primitive technology, humans had been building a vast defense network disguised as natural phenomena and crude engineering. Every nuclear reactor on Earth is part of a quantum detection grid, Maya explained, her hands dancing through holographic controls that responded to her genetic memory. Every satellite we've launched contains dormant defensive systems. Even our internet, what everyone thought was an inefficient electronic network, is actually a sophisticated quantum computation system running at frequencies the Unity can't detect. Diana accessed another section of the archive, revealing humanity's final preparations. Our ancestors left us a message. We choose to forget so that we might remember differently. We choose to begin again so that when the time comes, we will have not just knowledge, but wisdom. Not just power, but understanding. The assembled alien representatives watched as more hidden systems activated across the galaxy. What they had dismissed as human inefficiency was revealed as brilliant camouflage. What they had seen as primitive was shown to be sophisticated beyond their comprehension. Admiral Vixtar turned to Diana, his crystalline form glowing with a new respect. "You could have told us at any time. Why maintain the deception even after awakening the sleeping colonies?" Diana's answer was simple. "Because the Unity is watching. Always watching. Until this moment, our only defense was their certainty that we were too primitive to be worth assimilating." The lunar facility's displays showed the Unity's probe ships entering the galaxy's outer rim. But now, as humanity's true technology revealed itself, as the sleeping colonies awakened their ancient defenses, as the quantum network hidden in plain sight sprang to life, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. The hunters were about to discover they had been living in the hunting ground all along. And humanity was ready. Inheritance. The Unity's first contact protocol was as efficient as it was terrible. 3 massive optimization vessels emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, their crystalline forms refracting sunlight in ways that defied physics. They had come expecting to find a primitive species ready for uplift into their perfect collective. They found something else entirely. Maya Patel stood at the primary control interface of the lunar facility, her consciousness merged with systems that had waited 500,000 years for this moment. Beside her, Diana Martinez watched as humanity's great deception came to its culmination. Optimization vessels detected. The Unity's transmission echoed through all frequencies. Preparing for species integration. Resistance is. The message cut off as every piece of primitive human technology activated simultaneously. Satellites that had appeared to be simple communication relays revealed their true nature. The global power grid, seemingly based on crude electrical principles, transformed into a vast quantum defense network. Even the moon itself began to shift, ancient mechanisms awakening from their long slumber. "We've been expecting you," Maya transmitted, her voice carried by communication systems that made the Unity's technology seem crude by comparison. For a very long time. The Unity ships attempted to scan Earth's defenses, but found themselves unable to comprehend what they were seeing. Human technology didn't follow any recognizable pattern of development. It wasn't just advanced, it was alien even to them. Impossible. The Unity's response came. This level of advancement cannot exist without following optimal development patterns. All species evolve along predictable technological paths. Diana stepped forward, adding her ancient knowledge to Maya's intuitive understanding. That's where you've always been wrong. Evolution isn't about following a predetermined path. It's about adaptation, innovation, and most importantly, choice. The Unity ships launched their first attack, a quantum destabilization wave designed to disrupt all technology in the solar system. It washed harmlessly against Earth's defenses, dispersed by systems that had been disguised as simple weather satellites. But humanity's response wasn't what the Unity expected. Instead of counterattacking, Maya activated a different set of systems, ones that their ancestors had spent centuries perfecting. "We could destroy you," Maya transmitted. "Our ancestors developed weapons specifically designed to counter your optimization protocols. But that's not why we waited all this time. We didn't spend 500,000 years hiding just to repeat the cycle of violence." The lunar facility projected a massive holographic display visible to both Earth and the Unity ships. It showed the true history of the galaxy, not just the Unity's rise, but the civilizations that had come before them. Their art, their music, their unique perspectives on the universe, all the things the Unity had destroyed in their quest for perfection. "You call yourself the harmonious Unity," Diana's voice joined Maya's. "But true harmony isn't about enforcing sameness. It's about finding beauty in difference. Our ancestors understood this. That's why they chose to forget, not just to hide from you, but to prove a point." The Unity ships held position, their perfect efficiency disrupted by confusion. Their scans showed technology they couldn't comprehend, defenses they couldn't breach, and most disturbingly, a species that had deliberately chosen a slower, harder path to advancement. Maya initiated the final phase of humanity's long-prepared response. From the sleeping colonies scattered across the galaxy, from the hidden facilities on 1,000 worlds, energy began to flow. Not to weapons, but to something far more powerful, a demonstration. "Watch," she commanded. "Watch what happens when a species is allowed to develop naturally, to make its own choices, to learn from its mistakes." The holographic display showed humanity's true journey, not just their ancient advancement, but their deliberate regression and subsequent re-evolution. It showed how each seemingly primitive step had actually been a sophisticated choice, how their apparent inefficiencies had preserved creativity and innovation that the Unity had long since optimized away. "We offer you a choice," Diana announced. "Not surrender, not destruction, but something you've never considered: change. Real change, not optimization. Evolution, not uniformity." The Unity ships remained motionless, their perfect algorithms confronted with something they had never encountered: a species that had willingly given up godlike power to rediscover itself, and in doing so, had achieved something even greater. "Your quest for perfection has led you to stagnation," Maya continued. "But look at us. Look at how much we achieved by embracing imperfection, by choosing to grow rather than simply advance. We offer you the same choice our ancestors made, not to forget, but to remember differently." Hours passed as the Unity processed this unprecedented situation. Finally, their response came. "Your argument is inefficient, illogical, and yet compelling. We request data, understanding." Diana smiled. "Then let us show you what real harmony looks like. Not the elimination of difference, but the celebration of it. Not the enforcement of perfection, but the perfect freedom to choose one's own path." And so, at the end of humanity's long deception, came not a battle but a beginning. The Unity, confronted with a kind of advancement they had never imagined possible, chose to listen, to learn, to change. Maya looked out at the stars, seeing them now with both her enhanced perception and her human wonder. "Our ancestors gave us an incredible gift," she said, "not just their knowledge, but the chance to earn it, to understand it. And now we can share that gift with others." The lunar facility hummed with power as ancient systems shifted to their new purpose: not just defense, but teaching; not just preservation, but growth. Humanity had not just reclaimed their place as the elder race. They had transcended it. They had become something new, not just guardians of the galaxy, but guardians of choice itself, of the right of each species to find its own path, make its own mistakes, and achieve its own unique kind of perfection. The great deception was over. The time of understanding had begun.